Thank you.
Yeah. You are a good man, my friend. And it's a pleasure knowing you, and it's a...
How many of these sisters have we had?
I don't know. Can I guess 6 maybe? What would you say?
Several.
Several.
About 6
yep.
or 7.
Let's say several. All right. Guys, let me say some things about Mr. Joe Govea. Joe Govea was born in North Hollywood, California, to immigrant parents. Your mom and dad both came from Mexico, correct?
Yes.
And attended San Fernando Elementary and San Fernando High School. He was drafted into the Army during World War II with a former school classmate and future Medal of Honor hero, David Gonzalez. Together, they both took basic training at Camp Roberts, California. Upon completion of basic training, he was sent across the country by train to Camp Shanks, New York, and subsequently shipped to Europe in the converted luxury liner Ile-de-France. It was a long blacked out trip escorted by a convoy of ships for protection from German submarines. His ship landed in Glasgow, Scotland, where Joe, as a replacement, which basically means someone had to have been wounded or killed in the line of duty, that's why he's coming to replace them. Joe, as a replacement, was assigned to the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, after the Normandy landing. As a rifleman in the infantry, he participated in combat in northern France, Belgium, and Germany. Joe was seriously wounded during the German breakthrough in the Battle of the Bulge. Joe states that some of his war experiences are very similar to the ones shown in the television HBO series, The Band of Brothers, that's a nice statement because we just started watching that. Especially when the English-speaking German soldiers infiltrated our troops dressed as American GIs. You haven't seen that part, that's in episode 2. The book, written by Senator Bob Dole, titled One Soldier's Story, also describes some of Joe's combat experiences. As a decorated World War II veteran, Joe received the following medals: the Combat Infantry Badge, the Bronze Star. He has 2 Purple Hearts, which are given to a soldier when they receive a combat wound. A European Medal with 2 Battle Stars, Victory Medal, American Campaign Medal, Good Conduct Medal, and the Commemorative Battle of the Bulge Medal. He also received a Certificate of Appreciation from the French government for his war efforts. He subsequently was awarded the French Legion of Honor Medal for participation in the liberation of France during World War II, an award he's very proud of, which I will pass around starting with Lily. Joe has always said that he admires the design of this. Look at it, it's really a fantastic design medal from the French government. And presently, Joe resides in Northridge, California, with his wife Shirley, who is here with us today. And I should also tell you that they're also part of the Oaks Christian family because they're related to Mr. Scott Rockney, former principal of the middle school. If you guys went to the middle school, you know Mr. Rockney. They're part of that family unit as well. So can we welcome the Goveas here today, guys? Joe, go ahead and give us some opening words.
Well, first of all, you're going to see the Band of Brothers. Here's a picture of one of them who was called up for interviews with me. Ed was a very colorful people, and one thing that really got my attention in one of the first interviews that or presentations, I should say, that we had in Santa Monica, there was a bunch of anti-war hecklers who knew we were coming and who were going there to make life a little bit miserable for us. So Ed was talking at Pepping, and he looked this fellow straight in the eye and he says, you know, if we had more people like you here, he says, instead of the American flag having the American eagle, it would have the American chicken. Everybody laughed. This guy was embarrassed, and he left. But here's a guy that saw a lot, never bragged, a real hero, a real person. I come from a very low low income background, son of uneducated immigrant parents, and always tried to do the best I could for my country. As a youngster, I was listening to a football game between the Chicago Bears and the Washington Redskins on December 7, 1941. And over the radio came a newscast. The United States, Hawaii has been bombed. I was 16 years old and I said, where is that? You know, I had no knowledge of anything like that. I said, the war will be over before they call me. Well, I was wrong, because when we got to be 15 or 16, we're expected to sign up with the government, the draft boards, so that they could be assigned a number to be drafted into the service. So I was drafted when I was 18. When I was drafted, we went to be inducted. And about 7, 8, whatever, number of kids from the body where I came from, we were all together. Out of those, all of us were assigned to the infantry, unbeknownst to us. All 5 of us had our own story. David Gonzalez, who was mentioned here, very nice man, very calm, somebody you would never see as a hero, was awarded the Medal of Honor for sacrificing his life in the Philippines. Forgot the name of the island. And he threw himself at a machine gun nest, was bombed. 2 of us were wounded. One of them was taken a prisoner of war. No, 3 of us were wounded. And the others were not old enough, because there was some kind of a stipulation that you had to be a certain age before you went into combat. So what I'm trying to impress on you is that out of this group, all of us saw a little bit of action. Something that I lived for the rest of my life. And after basic training, I was taken across, like my profile says, the country, and shipped across it on the Ile-de-France. The Ile-de-France there was 3 big ships. We have some water. 3 big ships in the world. There was a Queen Mary, the Queen Elizabeth, and the Ile-de-France. So we crossed the Atlantic surrounded by battleships because of the submarines. War is the most horrific experience I've had in my life. I cannot explain why or when, but when you joined the service, you became a family, and we see it today, a family of one. You care for each other. So I went through, after Normandy, I went through northern France. I saw what they called the hedgerows. And today when you talk about a hedgerow, you think of little garden hedgerows. These hedgerows were about as wide, sometimes as deep as this room. And that's how the Germans used to hide. So we had to clear those hedgerows as we went through. I could never tell you where I was, except on several occasions where something very significant had happened. And that was when I was strafed. Does anybody know what the word strafe means? Strafe is when you're shot by an airplane. Airplane comes on shooting. And the reason we were strafed was because we were successful in pushing, and what the what the army, the division used to do is before we advanced, they would attack the German line of soldiers by bombing them or strafing them. Well, we were moving so fast that they mistook us for Germans. So I could see the airplanes hovering over us. I could see the face of the pilots. That's how close they were. And when the bullets hit the ground, it was like somebody pounding the ground with a sledgehammer. You could see the face of the soldiers, and you could expect to be hit. Thank God, I don't know of anybody that was hurt. My other sad experience was when we liberated an American prisoner of war camp, and I think that was in Belgium. As we approached, we were told not to get close to the soldiers because they were toxic. Fleas, illnesses. When I saw those people coming out, those young soldiers coming out, some of them were like walking skeletons. One thing that I found out interesting about the German camps was that they used to take the food cans, you know, the big gallon, I guess they're gallons, cans, and put them along the perimeter of the camp. So if anybody tried to escape, in spite of the fact they had the watchtowers, you would have to step on those cans, make noise, and they would catch you. So that was a sad experience. The other thing that comes to mind is crossing the secret line. And you'll read about it, I'm sure, right? And the first division, as Mr. Dewey told you, we were spearheading, and we were the first ones to take a German city after crossing the secret line. And we took the city of Aachen. After that, we took a break, and then we got an emergency call to go into the Hurtgen Forest, which is not far from there. And that was the start of the Battle of the Bulge. The Battle of the Bulge, the way I look at it after many years, is we were advancing so fast and so successful in our advancements that the Army decided to relieve us, two of us with one soldier, which meant we were normally 5 feet apart, which meant that now the soldiers were 11 or 10 feet apart. And that weakened the lines. The Germans knew this, so that was the beginning of the Battle of the Bulge. That is my estimation, my thinking. I was wounded twice. One of them was by a potato masher. A potato masher was a hand grenade that looks like it worked like a toilet paper holder. You know, it had a spring in it. And when the Germans threw them at us, they would swish and explode on contact. Well, I was close to one when they when it came to me, I hit the ground, and I got shrapnel that lasted in my body for about 20 years. The second time, I was hit by a dum-dum bullet. A dum-dum bullet is something that the Germans, which is against the Geneva Convention, that the German army decided to score the bullet where it would explode on contact. I was a squad leader in an infantry company, platoon, and as I was walking one morning getting ready to advance, I was hit by a sniper, got me on the hip, and when the dum-dum hit me, it exploded. All I remember after that is the medic coming over. By the way, you don't hear about the battlefield medics. They deserve a lot more credit than they get. I remember they gave me some morphine. I didn't wake up until, this happened December the 20th. I didn't wake up till about the middle of January. When I say wake up, I was sedated all that time. My experience has been something that I will never forget. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do it and come back alive. I thank the good Lord for taking care of me. You know, they call them awards, I call them decorations. Very seldom in the news or you see a military man wearing this here. This is a Combat Infantry Badge. During the war, the Air Force was doing a lot of damage, making a lot of headway, but the infantry was not getting enough credit. Our division commander, Omar Bradley, went to Congress and came up with an idea that the grunts, us, should receive more credit and get extra pay for our actions. Part of this dissertation was, I would ask you to read it.
Sure. So this is what General Omar Bradley released to express kind of the meanings of this badge and what it meant to be a combat soldier. A rifleman fights without promise of either reward or relief. Behind every river, there's another hill, and behind that hill, another river. After weeks or months in the line, only a wound can offer him the comfort of safety, shelter, and a bed. Those who are left to fight, fight on, evading death, but knowing that with each day of evasion, they have exhausted one more chance for survival. Sooner or later, unless victory comes, this chase must end on the litter or in the grave. And to be clear, a litter is a stretcher. It's what they carried you out on if you were wounded. Or
See, when you're wounded, they pick you up and put you on a litter. It's got, you know, it's a canvas with two rods, and they run you out. While I'm thinking of it, I don't remember seeing a dead American soldiers, in spite of the fact that I was in combat. It's hard to believe. What our Army did was whenever we advanced, and we were in a position where we could, slow down, before that, they would get a single cot's mattress cover made out of canvas, put the body in there, remove it. So when you advance, all you see is German soldiers. You don't see any of your dead. And usually sometimes we would, sometimes out of and I don't know why we did it. Sometimes we would cover the German's face if he was facing up, But I think it was brought up a while ago. Being in the service the way I was and what I participated, it's hard to explain the closeness, the love amongst us. And a thought just came to me as Sir Drew was reading the dissertation there, is I think we expected to be wounded or killed. It was just a matter of life. And I have been, in fact, one of the sessions there, somebody asked me, was I scared? I think I can say that I didn't have time to be scared. We just accepted it for our country. I prayed a lot for the Lord to erase all of those experiences away from me, because when I left the service, I was what they call bad news. I was angry, didn't care, you know. I done my part. If you didn't like what I did, too bad. That's not a good attitude. You know, something very interesting, I hear a lot of people talking about infants, families. Usually when we went into a city and took it, they were usually left open. I never knew where I was, because all I saw was destruction. One thing that was very interesting that we had to learn the hard way, the German collaborators, Germans that wouldn't give up, were ordered to wear a yellow band on their arm. So we were always on the lookout for them, because you didn't know what they would do. When we were first interviewed for the draft, you take an exam. And there were some people, my oldest brother was one of them. My oldest brother was in a car accident where he mangled his hand, and he was declared unfit for the service. The service had different classifications. They had the 1A, eligible, and other numbers, and they had the 4F. It was embarrassing to be a 4F. Another friend of mine had tuberculosis as a kid, and he was declared ineligible. And he really wanted to go. No, we wanted to be part of the action. Something else that isn't brought up in your books, the contribution the public made towards the war effort. This is right after I got through with basic training, which some of you refer to as boot camp. My mother says, I want to take a picture of you. And you know, we don't think about moms. My mother was what some people refer to as a prayer warrior. And I can just imagine how she felt having me there, knowing that I was going to war and probably never coming back. See, these are the contributions that are made by the public. My brother-in-law's family had 5 members that were in the service. Can you imagine that mother with 5 soldiers? When I came home, I had a lot of nightmares. I almost choked my late wife. One time I was gonna punch her, and she put her arm up and blocked me, you know. And then I started to think, there's a God up there that can remove all of this. And I started to pray. And slowly but surely, I started to get, my attitude started to change by looking at people. And more importantly, my love for my country increased. Hey, I was part of this. I hear a lot of people glamorize the war. You know, I think I stated before, I never knew where I was. All I know is I was in the front fighting for war. And whenever we would get a break, and it was usually 2 or 3 days, you didn't have much time to recoup. So we were very, very close. That's our equipment there. And we start off with, right at the bottom, you see the rifle. Between the two canteens, you see the bayonet. That bayonet was put at the end of the rifle. And then we have the two canteens. One thing is we always had water. We may not have food, but we all had water and cigarettes. On the top right is a fill pack that would carry a small shovel and a pneumatic. And we had a blanket in there. And for a total, the blanket, yeah. No, that's an overcoat. For a total of 35 pounds. So we carried 35 pounds with us. What I don't see there is our gun belt. We carried a gun belt, and I'll tell you, when we landed at Normandy, they put us in what they call a 1240, 12 horses or 40 men, boxcar, railroad boxcar. And they came in, you probably heard this before, they gave us a bandolier. Do you know what a bandolier is? Bandolier is a belt that's got bullets. We had cartridges. So they gave us a bandolier, one for each shoulder. We strapped them. And they told us, you are in combat zones. You could have heard a pin drop. We weren't aware that we were in a combat zone. They took us by train to where we actually joined our outfit. Now, the rifle had, I think it was eight rounds, 8 bullets. And it was semi-automatic, one of the best weapons that this country's ever had. So.
Was it M1?
M1.
Yeah.
It was the M1 Garand M1.
Joe, talk to us about the rations that you would eat when you were.
Yeah, our nutrition was, you know what a sausage, a tomato sauce can looks like, little one. They had, was what they call a C ration, and it was this can, and here's what we had as an opener. We used to open it, that's a can opener. And that would sustain us all day.
What kind of food items were in these packs?
It was usually hash, you know.
No, what's hash? What does that mean?
It would be, what is hash, Shirley?
It's corned beef.
Corned beef?
With potatoes.
Corned beef and potatoes, or potatoes with some other kind of meat. And we'd open it, and sometimes you could see the oil, the lard on top, but you had to eat it. There was nothing else to eat. But in our rations, we always had cigarettes, and at that time, Raleigh cigarettes are very popular, and we always kept water and cigarettes. After the C rations, we graduated to what they called a D ration. It was a box about the size of a Cracker Jack box, chocolate, biscuits, cigarettes. We would eat those like a candy with the crackers. That'll keep us all day. And then they came, I forgot what the other ration was. Anyway, they came 3. That's what we ate. I must have been in Belgium for Thanksgiving. They came in, and right at the bottom right is a mess kit. We carried that in the pack. They gave us a piece of cold turkey, dressing and everything, and we thought we were in heaven eating something. But we were warned. Whenever they went on rest, They told us to watch our diet, because our stomachs, I guess they shrink, or it affect the nutrition, the nutrients affect your stomach. This is our dog tags, the way we were identified. You carry it as a collar. It's got a little notch, but the dog has my name, it's my serial number, blood type, and religious belief. Because at the bottom it's got B. I'm a Protestant. Does anybody have any idea what that little notch is for? If you are killed in action, the orderlies that pick you up bend this in half. This little notch, put it under your teeth, open your mouth, put your teeth up, go to it's bent. That's the way they identify a body. So this is what they call the dog tags. That is a self-propelled rocket that was prepared by the Germans, adopted by the Germans. That rocket there would be launched in Berlin, Germany, and land in London, England. Self-propelled, and they would come over our heads, you know. They would fly over our heads. We could hear them, and it sounded like a car with a broken muffler. If that was flying over us making noise, we didn't worry about it. If it stopped, we were in trouble. That was actually a bomb. So that is what they call the V-12 rocket. I love my country. I've been to other countries, and there's nothing like the USA. We have our freedoms, we have everything we want. And I would say my goal in life has been to be a good citizen, obey the laws of the country. And one thing that I have noticed lately, as I grew up, I'll be 94 years in May, is we're forgetting the word wrong. You know, everything is okay, right? Think about that. Think about your government. Think about what's going. Be part of it in a good way. And politicians want, some of them are doing your country a lot of good, some of them are not. When you, as a citizen, get the opportunity to vote, look at the person's background. Look at the people we're putting at the helm. I believe in prayer. And as I said it before, prayer is the one thing that sustained me. Like getting rid of all those nightmares and stuff. Getting rid of all the bad experiences I had. I can thank God because I think that's the thing that builds character, having to go through it. In other words, my dad, who was not well educated or whatever, as a very youngster instilled in me. He said, let me tell you something, and I don't want you to ever forget this. Your word is your bond. Don't make a commitment unless you intend to fulfill it. I see that going down the tube too. I've had people tell me, I'm going to do this. I expect them to do it. So, in other words, integrity should be maintained. And don't forget one thing, that even some of the politicians try to bring down. We are one nation under God. And think about it. It has a lot of meaning.
Ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. All right, say your goodbyes, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great service.
Thank you.
Wow. Great.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service and your story. Thank you for your service
Thank
and
you.
your story.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.